Hello, I'm Paul Bullard. I'm Product Director at SFG20. My responsibilities include the product management team, the very clever technical authors who produce all of the content that SFG20 is most famous for, and also our new professional services area of the business. I'm joined today by Mike Talbot.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Talbot. I'm SFG20's Chief Technology Officer. It's my job to build all of the software and solutions for SFG20, and I've been working on a new project with Paul, which is the asset mapping solution that we're building. So Paul, what is that about and what problem are we solving with asset mapping?
I think the answer to that, Mike, depends who you are, because in terms of our industry, facilities management, where we look at asset registers, some of the biggest challenges that a building owner might have is, do they actually have ownership of their asset register today? And what's the quality of that asset register? I mean, we see the data being presented in many different forms. Maybe different systems have been used over the years. Maybe you'd have some CAFM system, an IWMS, a CMMS. You might use Excel spreadsheets. And that data has been used for different purposes at various points in time. One of the challenges would be to bring that information together and actually say, this is a recognised quality register for my building. These are all the things I have in place, and these are the things I need to maintain. Now, for a FM service provider, a big challenge is actually mobilising a particular contract. So you win a contract, that then goes into the phase of, here's the data from the site. We might have to go out and do an asset survey. We might have to collate all that data. We may be presented with data from legacy systems. We then need to take that forward. Now, for both parties, whether you're a building owner or a service provider, the most important thing is I've now got an asset. I now know what that asset is. I now need to understand what maintenance do I need to carry out on that asset. And sometimes that can be a fairly lengthy process to actually get that agreed, put those in place, understand our obligations and the things we must do, the things we could do, and some of the things that we might do if we're providing that different level of service on that asset. Now, where we're looking at solving things is where we're talking about different opportunities for where people might have multiple systems, they might have asset registers in different formats. How can we solve that for industry about bringing a solution that we could take an asset register in any format and bring that into our Facilities-iQ product, but then have that automatically map against an SFG20 schedule? Now, we believe that would really increase the opportunity for service providers to provide a very fast means of delivering a new contract. And for a building owner, it really gives them certainty and clarity without having to spend a huge amount of effort understanding the data that they already have and it's suitable for their operation, but also seeing how we can actually align that with the things that are obligations for them to carry out within their building. Now, to expand on that, Mike, would you like to explain what we've actually built?
Sure, Paul. I guess the first thing we had to do is rethink how in Facilities-iQ we manage the whole process of maintenance. So SFG20 is a standard. It's made up of a series of schedules. Each of those schedules have tasks, which may be mandatory, may be required by law, or may be best practice, so on and so forth. So that's how it's always worked in the past. We've had these schedules at the core. But if we want to deal with assets, which is the way the industry thinks about building maintenance, how we're going to maintain these assets, we've had to put assets at the absolute core of what we do. That means that all of the screens you use in the software can switch from that book schedule view to actually looking at how long does it take to maintain an asset, sort my assets in order of the ones that take most effort. All of those kind of things become very, very important. So first of all, that's what we've done. We've added this new asset view and task view into the core of our software. Now, to solve the problem Paul's talking about there, which is how do we take a long list of different assets, of many, many different asset types. We've got registers with like 15,000 assets, 5,000 different types of assets. Somebody has got to go and make those assets map to a schedule in SFG20, and that's a really big problem. So firstly, what we've done is made a really straightforward way that we can import standard files. So we can pull files in a number of different ways. One is we can go and grab a Kobe file. So if you've got a BIM model for your building, you may well be able to have a Kobe file. You may well have a bunch of Excel spreadsheets sitting around. So we can import any format of Excel spreadsheet. And we've also got an API so we can link directly into your systems. And what that does is it brings in that asset information so that we can examine it. We then use large language models to actually build an AI mapping of this. And we do that in a pretty smart way. We take your asset, we understand what that asset means. We use an AI to expand or any abbreviations in it to turn that into something that has a whole set of synonyms. We then map it against all 1,500 schedules in SFG20. And we use an AI to come up with its ranked list of what it thinks are the most likely schedules to match. We then get it to come up with the 5 or 6 questions that would most differentiate the top assets in that. And then we get another pass of the AI to actually go and try and answer some of those questions. What that means is we get a really, really strong mapping, if that can exist, to the core schedules. And that's presented back to the user, either automatically having chosen the correct schedule for this asset if it can, or with that set of questions that you can then answer and a list of all the schedules that match. This is going to reduce work that would take weeks or months into hours or maybe a day as you go and answer these really straightforward questions to get this mapping. But just think about what you get from that. You get this complete understanding of how you need to maintain these assets, and in a way that you can easily then export again and put back into other systems.
That sounds like very powerful functionality, Mike. Can I ask, what happens next? Everyone's done this automated mapping. They've taken their asset, they've aligned it to an SFG20 schedule with a load of assistance from the product. What do they get out? What can they do with it next?
Well, Paul, what they can do next is they can create a maintenance regime based on those assets. And that maintenance regime could be organized based on the structure of their buildings, or it could be based on the categories of asset being maintained. And then you can just get that out directly via an API into your CAFM or via an Excel spreadsheet. So you've got that information ready to hand, all mapped to the SFG20 codes.
Well, that's brilliant. But what we want to know next is, when's it available?
Well, Paul, we're in the very last stages of sort of testing on this. We're hoping for a release just before Christmas or in early January. And Paul, if people are interested, if they would like to get hold of it or understand more, how should they go about that?
So if they're an existing SFG20 customer, the best thing you can do is reach out to your account manager. Alternatively, you can view all the product information on our website, www.sfg20.co.uk.